Hi guys, so winter is upon us. It's here, in fact, and you might be thinking about various things about how to keep yourself safe when you're out there in your car and you're driving. There's lots of guides out there that will tell you various things, but how many guides will tell you how to make sure that you don't fall foul of the law and get fined up to, say, £5,000 for inadvertently breaking the law? Oh, yes, indeed. There are things that you need to be aware of. Of course, you need to stay safe, you need to stay warm, but you need to stay on the right side of the law. And what are the things you should be aware of? Well, I'll tell you right after this.
A brown car guy. Brown car guy.
Right, so you might think this is a really weird one, and I guess it is kind of weird. But let's take number one on this list, and that is dress wisely for the cold. Now, obviously, that means your big fluffy coat, your scarves, and maybe your gloves, your thick gloves. But be aware, because stuff that you wear, if it restricts your movement, as these big coats sometimes can do, and affect your driving, as sort of big gloves, you can't reach buttons and stuff like that. If you're fined not to be fully in control of your car, the fine could be as much as £5,000. Oh yeah. No hanging about. Let's move straight on to rule number two, and pedestrians. Pedestrians should not be splashed by puddles. I know it's really, really rainy out there right now, and there are massive puddles. And I'll tell you what, I don't even want to splash people with puddles, but I don't want to splash my car because I try to keep it clean. So I really slow down for these puddles. But I see people like driving through them, go, yay! And if there's nobody around, then okay, sure. But if you splash somebody, and if they get your number and tell about you, then it is a fine of up to £5,000. Oh yeah. So yeah, just slow down, be very careful, make sure there's nobody around, especially after there's heavy rain, and even with snow, because the ice could break and there could be water underneath it. And also, let's just be kind to people, right? A little bit of Christmas spirit. Come on, guys. Right, so rule number three is about, when you go down to your car and say it snowed and you've got like thick snow and on top of your car and on the windscreen and on the bonnet and all the rest of it. The thing that we all tend to do is to clear off the windows, to clear off the front window, the back window, the side windows, and we tend to not bother about the roof and the bonnets and stuff like that. However, that is a hazard, and if that snow comes off the roof or onto the windscreen and blocks your view, then that too is an offence potentially, and especially if it flies into another car. And God forbid if it is seen or proven to have caused another driver to have veered or caused an accident or anything like that, then yes, once again, the fine can be as much as £5,000. So the thing to do is to make sure that you not only clear your windscreen and your windows, but you also make sure you get your ice off the places where it's perched. So on top of the roof, on the boot lid, if you have one, and of course on the bonnet as well. So make sure you get all of that ice off before you set off on your journey. Right, rule number four, fog lights. Yes, there's always a lot of confusion about fog lights. Fog lights, of course, you do have on cars, especially on the rear, or virtually every car, and you are meant to use them. That is the law. When visibility drops below a certain level, you are supposed to use them. But the trouble is that misuse of fog lights is a £50 fine. So because they're powerful lights, so they tend to be dazzling, they could, blind people, so to speak. So you have to be careful how you use them. But the thing is about fog lights, or there's driving lamps as well, because some cars have fog lights at the front, but they also have driving lamps. For me, I've got to be honest with you. If I feel that I'm safe, especially if you're in a motorway environment, and I feel the visibility drop like it's in heavy rain, not just fog, but in heavy rain, then I have been like really heavy rain, like literally like it's just mist, then I have been known to turn them on, honestly speaking. My personal rule is that if I'm looking ahead down the road and I can no longer see cars and they're coming into my awareness much later than I would like, then I immediately assume that I'm the same for other people, and then I turn my fog lights on. And likewise, same for the front. If you feel that if you have lights at the front and you feel like it would help people if they could see you, then I do that. But but it should be in fog circumstances where you turn them on. The fine is £50 for that one. I would say better to be seen. Rule number 5, here's one that's for the pet lovers, animal lovers, because the weird thing is, or maybe not the weird thing, but sort of almost, I suppose, in the animal world, the logical thing is the animals are out there, say cats that are out there or whatever, and even stray animals, say foxes or small rodents and stuff like that. They might be looking for a warm place to to shelter, and a car is an obvious warm place to do that. So they could be sleeping under your car. So this is actually quite common. So they could be either under the car or perhaps sometimes even in the wheel arches. So okay, there's not going to be a fine if you drive over one of these things, but just as a courtesy and as a good bit of practice before you set off, it's a good idea to just check under the car. And also keep in mind that if you are in the car, then don't just drive off immediately, because you start it up, you rev it, any animal out there hopefully will get alert, and then if it's there it'll run off. But if you can do a visual check, that's always better. But yeah, just as a courtesy to make sure that you don't kill the wildlife out there, or maybe even a domesticated cat that happens to be out there or something like that, as you drive off. Yeah, just be careful of that. Let's stick with pets for rule number 6, which is about driving with pets. If you're traveling with your pet, you should have them restrained. You can buy seatbelt harnesses and boxes. Not boxes, what they call the baskets that you can carry them in, or the sort of. I had one of them. What do they call them? You can put your animals in. There's the door on it and stuff like that, right? You can have those. There are dog guards for larger SUVs and estate cars and MPVs and stuff like that. So you need to make sure that the animal is restrained. This is not just for their safety, but for yours as well. And if a policeman feels, or a police person feels that you haven't sufficiently done that, the fine could be as much as £2,500. And the other thing to keep in mind is just some preparation. So if you are carrying animals around with you, also take some water with you just in case you might need it, they might need it. Plan for regular breaks. Never ever leave your pet alone in the car, especially if it's very cold, or even also if it's very hot. In both cases, that could be, well, let's just say your pet might not be breathing when you get back. So yeah, don't do that. And let's go to our final rule for this video anyway, at least. I mean, I'm sure that there will be other driving guides and driving tips, and I have done them before. You can find them on this channel. But let's say rule number 7. This is not the legal one. There's no law for this one, but it's just a little bit of common sense. And that is that avoid parking on the street when visibility is extremely low, when it's very, very foggy, as sometimes it might get. Because the fact is that fog can be dangerous, ice can be dangerous, and people may not see your car. So, and if it's slippery and icy as well, they may just slide into it. So if it's very snowy, and obviously, if you live in, like I do, in London, then you're not going to find it possible to do this, because on-street parking is a must for some people. But if it's possible not to do it, then try not to do it, because that's the best way to keep your car safe. We've all seen the videos of when it gets really snowy and then cars suddenly overestimate the amount, or drivers, I should say, overestimate the amount of grip that their car has, and then just go careering along, sliding into parked cars. Well, none of us want to turn up to our car the next day and go, how did that happen? So yeah, if you can, don't do that. If you have to leave it out in the fog, one tip might be to leave your parking lights on as well. A lot of cars have parking lights, so you could do that. Hopefully check on the battery a bit later on, especially in cold weather. You could risk running them out, running the battery out, but the parking lights are normally designed so that shouldn't happen, but it's probably worth. I'd be quite cautious. So I would be like, oh my God, I don't want to leave the lights on all night. But anyway, that's one way to alert people that your car is there. Anyway, have a great winter. Stay safe, stay warm, be careful, and season's greetings to you all.
Jingle bell, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Oh, jingle bell, jingle.
Brown car guy.
Hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please hit the like button and share this video as well if you can. And while you're at it, check out these guys who also sponsor my content. I am deeply grateful to them because it helps me to buy new equipment, put fuel in the cars, and yes, buy a cup of coffee. You can do the same. Just go here or right here on YouTube. Just hit these 3 little dots down here and click on thanks. Make sure you're signed in first. My content is free, but this is how you can help me keep it that way. I may even send you a gift. Oh, by the way, watch this next.